Good windy morning, Temple. You are listening to the Sunday Sports Show on WHIP. Jimmy Williamson, Jonathan Gilbert, and Ryan Snowden are in the studio. I said good morning, but it's actually 12:02, so good afternoon. What's up, guys?
How's
your
going?
weekend going?
It's good. Cold, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Very
Yo, what
cold.
is up with this wind?
It's
It was shaking my house this morning.
low pressure system coming in from the north and bringing cold air down from Canada with the counterclockwise rotation, and hopefully afterwards there'll be a high pressure system that'll bring some stability to the region. And now to Jimmy in sports.
Thanks, Professor.
I mean, we're all in sports, so it's a group effort. But let's not point out favorites. I know I'm good, but you guys are pretty good too.
So, sports.
That's why
There
we're
were some
here.
sports played last night.
There were sports.
It's
There were
called the
games
Final
being
Four.
played.
Yeah,
But didn't really look like the Final Four, though.
not at all.
Kind of looked like a bunch of crap.
If you like interesting basketball, you must have hated last night because, gosh, it was just bad all around. Like, Nova pretty much just from the jump. Well, I don't want to say from the jump. Oklahoma was with them for the beginning, but like as soon as the second half rolled around,
Yeah.
it was all Nova, and it's kind of same for UNC once the second half rolled around.
Yep.
Syracuse was like competitive for the first half, but UNC just dominated them.
The key was to stop Archidiakono. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
It's like
I think.
We can
I
call
don't
him.
know.
Let's call him Archie.
Let's call him
Yeah,
Archie.
that
All right.
works.
The key was to stop Archie from shooting threes. I mean, you don't need to be intelligent basketball mind to know that. But
But I mean, like when you got Josh Hart making the
Yeah.
shots like he was taking last night, you can't like stop that. He had like it would be like 1 foot, like both arms behind his back,
Yeah.
blindfold, and the ball would still go on. It
Yo,
was
One thing about Nova that I picked them in the bracket last year. One thing about them that I really liked last year that carried over into this year is that any of their top 8 guys can drop 15. It doesn't matter if it's Hart, Jenkins, Oshefu, Archie. They can all score. And what was really nice and what really helped them was they had 2 21-4 runs at separate times in the game last night. And they shut down Buddy Hield. Jay Wright had a brilliant game plan, and their defense has
absolutely.
been so good this year. And in this tournament, they've just been throttling everyone. What was their closest game? Kansas, and it was
Yeah.
9 points?
Something like that.
Something like
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
they've
far and
won
away
like
the best
15
team.
every game. I think.
Yeah,
so far.
on average, I think it's like a 17-point differential, and they're just too good right now. Like what you said with Josh Hart, he shot 10 for 12, and he
Yeah.
just couldn't miss.
Yeah, God, it was. He was untouchable, like seriously. But it was interesting though. Like compare this game to Oklahoma, the first Oklahoma Villanova game. It was like night
Yeah.
and day.
Yeah,
But I was reading something post game. They were saying that the big reason, the big difference between the two games was Villanova put less focus on Buddy Hield. Like the first game, they only paid attention to Buddy Hield,
Right.
and he let like his teammates around him like put up numbers. But they kind of like shifted their focus. Like they focused on Buddy Hield, but they also focused on other people, and he had nowhere to go, and his shot wouldn't drop. So
yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. Is Oklahoma's shooting percentage is what, like 35?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and that's like okay,
31.7.
which is like a little worse thing. But Villanova shot 71.4%, which is the second highest in any Final Four game. The highest being their championship against Georgetown in '85, and that's the game. That's why it was 45 points. Because if Oklahoma had shot 40%, say, and Buddy Hield had hit, I don't know, 3 threes in the first half,
More than one.
yeah, more than 1 for 9, then they would have been okay.
Yeah.
But because nothing was going in. There was one point in the second half, they had an offensive possession where they got 5 rebounds, and they had 5 shots, and they went 1 for 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it was the 5th shot that they finally got it. And I thought that was, like, very telling for the entire game,
Yep.
because they just couldn't put the ball in the basket no matter where they were. There was a 3, there was a mid-range 2, there was a layup that got missed, there was another 3, and then another mid-range 2. And the last mid-range 2 finally went in.
Yeah.
But it was just, Villanova's defense was so swarming and so aggressive, and they just couldn't miss.
Yeah.
It's exactly how they played last week, too.
Yeah.
This is why I kind of thought they would. I mean, no one saw this coming. No
Yeah.
one saw 44-point victory, but I mean, Is it safe to say that they're the favorite against UNC?
Yeah.
I think so too.
I don't know. If there's one team like throughout this entire tournament that I thought had a chance of beating Villanova, because for a while I feel like it's just with how many upsets there have been, it's like Villanova has a really good chance of going to in the national championship. But the whole time I've been thinking in the back of my head, UNC is pretty good. If there's one team that could give them like a good game, it's UNC. And honestly, I may take UNC in that one, but I don't know. Like, there's an internal struggle in me. It's like, both are so good and both have a chance, but it's going to be a close one, I think.
The one thing that UNC has that Villanova kind of lacks is the really good front court.
Yeah.
Yep.
And their backcourt is good, but I'd take Villanova's over them.
Oh, yeah.
But with Villanova's front court, they have Oshefu and Chris Jenkins, and they're both fairly undersized. So that'll be the big challenge. And if they can keep the shooting up, because they're a shooting team,
Yeah.
and if you have a game where you shoot 70%, law of averages tells you that the next one isn't going to be that way.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think favors Villanova is the fact that when they played Kansas had a very good front court as well. And they have game plans and protocol to go against an elite front court, such as the one that UNC has.
I just think it'll be interesting if Nova does get out to shooting like they did against Oklahoma. I think the game will be over very quickly, because I don't know what they finished shooting, but I saw at the half UNC hadn't had a single three-pointer. They just came up empty from beyond the arc, and if that happens again, the game could get ugly pretty quickly. If there's one thing UNC needs to do, is they need to be able to either stop Villanova's three or they need to match them.
Villanova shot 71.4% from the field, 61.1% from beyond the arc. So that's pretty fair to say. If they play the same style of play against UNC, it will be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, yeah, Matt, if you keep that up, you can destroy a lot of teams. That's like Golden State Warriors stuff, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are video game numbers.
Yeah, UNC only shot 23.5% from the three yesterday.
Yeah.
How about from the field?
From the field, they shot 53.8.
Okay.
A little better.
Yeah.
Not Villanova style, but...
Yeah, not awful.
So, are you guys rooting for Villanova?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I put up for my city.
Okay, that's fair.
Are you?
No comment.
No? No love for
No
Nova?
comment. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe the city could use a parade.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what? It's Philadelphia. Good things don't really happen here very often.
That's true.
And
Okay.
it's Big Five. UNC wins a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Jay Wright. You like Archie.
Yeah, I do like Jay Wright.
There's people to root for on that
Yeah,
team.
Okay.
they're a good team to go for.
I mean, they may not be our Owls, but it's a close second. You gotta show the love.
Okay.
Yeah,
Show
any
the love.
any Big
Is that a
Five.
Sixers reference?
No, that's just the process.
yeah.
I mean, show the love is a Sixers thing too, as well. But yeah,
It was. I don't know if it's still.
show
I
the
re-
love,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember Run
the
with
horns.
Us. I don't remember Show the Love.
Oh man,
but-
that was a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how far back.
they always
my
come
memory
up with
goes.
new slogans. It's really, that's where they put all their money. That's why they have so much cap space. Is 'cause
Yeah.
they invest in finding slogans.
What was
It starts now. It still hasn't started yet.
what was the one that like plant the seeds for harvest or something like that? I feel like that was what Sam Hinkie said at a press conference recently.
I don't think that.
I'm not
Planted
sure.
the seeds and we're waiting for harvest or something like that. And I was like, ooh.
That
that's a good
sounds like something Sam Hinkie would say.
I don't know.
Not sure though.
I don't remember that.
No, but what's it? Did you guys see the video, the new hype video that Sam Hinkie? Well, not Sam Hinkie necessarily, but the Sixers came out with, like Sam Hinkie, like explaining we're this far in our procedure, we're getting closer. Soon we're gonna make a move or something.
Really?
Yeah. Now all of it just seemed to me like it just reminded me of. Do you remember last year when Chip Kelly was like, "We're Philadelphia,
Yeah.
we fight and stuff."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It was that because there was a point
Gotcha.
in the video where Sam Hinkie's like, "If you make it in the city, you're a legend." The likes of Allen, Will, Charles, and you notice how I don't have to say their last name. And I'm like, man, you're just trying to get us excited. These people, there's no one like that on this team right now. Well, Embiid is very good, but
I think
He's not
Jaleel.
on the team technically.
yeah, I know.
Jaleel could do it.
Jaleel could do it, but I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I'm having my doubts about Jaleel just because he seems kind of like so one-dimensional. He just seems like a big. Who's the center for the Hornets? Al Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of reminds me of a bigger Al Jefferson. Well, a cross between Al Jefferson and not Tony Parker. Wow, I'm blanking on so many names. Power forward for the Spurs, Tim Duncan. Mix between the two, but just because he's great underneath the net, and I don't know, he's like an old school big man.
Okay.
Yeah, is that the worst thing in the world, though?
It's not the worst thing in the world, but
Definitely not.
I mean,
Yeah.
like building your franchise around that just isn't the best in this NBA. I feel.
Yeah, I mean,
Just because he lacks the athleticism to like go out and cover like more athletic bigs, and he just can't stretch the floor.
yeah, but if you have a good inside-out game on offense, then
That's true.
if you get two guys to collapse on him, you have a good shooter on the outside. Kick it out to the shooter, kicks it out to a mediocre shooter, and then you got an open three. Then you're gonna get that 40% of the time.
That's true.
And it's all about ball movement. I mean, yeah, he's not gonna be as athletic as like Draymond Green on Golden State, who is a very undersized, very athletic, essentially a small forward playing center.
Yeah.
But he can match up on offense with the likes of your Tim Duncans, and
Yeah.
I mean the Spurs have Tim Duncan, and they're
Yeah, but
perfectly
the Spurs
fine.
also have like stupid shooters. Like,
yeah. No, I'm just saying, but that's what it's comparable to because
Yeah.
Brett Brown did come from San Antonio, so I could
that's true.
foresee him trying to work that, and it makes sense with the offense that they run. They try and shoot, it just doesn't really work out because Hollis Thompson isn't very good,
Yeah.
and the best
Yeah.
shooter is Robert Covington, who comes off the bench on occasion.
It is hard for me to kind of like pass judgment on Jaleel already, just because I mean Ish Smith's nice and all, but he hasn't had a real point guard. Like,
No.
and
definitely not.
the other reason that I'm like partially ready to give up on Jaleel, just because I know one of these centers are gonna have to get moved, and I just think Jaleel doesn't mesh as well as Nerlens and Embiid could mesh. Just because I feel like you play them, you got Embiid as your center, Nerlens as your four. You can have Embiid stretch the court and like have Nerlens play underneath the net, and then on defense you can have an Embiid underneath the net and just have Nerlens chase stretch fours. But
You think one of these centers is going to have to get moved?
I think more than one.
They're going to have to move. They might have to move quite a few.
Really?
If they have Saric,
Mm-hmm.
Come
that is
in.
true.
and if they get the first pick in the draft, are they going to draft Ben Simmons?
Well, I mean, it's
Are
either
they gonna
Ben
be-
Simmons or Ben Ingram, or Brandon Ingram. So
Brandon
I mean,
Ingram.
either way, you're getting a small four. You're getting a wing. So I mean, that's just one need filled right there.
Simmons can't shoot that well.
He can't shoot that well, but I mean, he's still a good slasher and stuff.
Yeah, so
He's
is
a
Evan
good
Turner.
Fair enough, but hey, he's not nearly the facilitator I feel Simmons is.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like Ingram personally.
It's gonna be a big debate, and both
Yeah.
are extremely tempting. Just because, God, Brandon Ingram's jump shot is so silky smooth.
Yeah.
It's so nice to watch.
Yeah.
It's like pouring a glass of water. It's so smooth and fluid.
If the Lakers drop out of the top three in the draft lottery this year, the Sixers will have their draft pick, and they will have a total of 4 first-round picks because Oklahoma City and Miami's are protected, which is irrelevant now since they're both in the playoffs. So they have 4 draft picks, potentially. 3, potentially 4th. It's not Simmons. Embiid, Okafor, Noel, Saric.
Yeah.
They have to make a move this year.
Well, honestly, I can't see Saric being more than just a guy coming off the bench because I'm really not that high on the guy. I
He
think
can't be.
He's
But he is an asset. that
he's
they
an
have,
asset.
yeah.
He could be good, but he's like a Swiss Army knife. He just does a lot. He
Yeah.
doesn't do anything great. He just can do a lot of things, and I don't know. That just seems like a guy that comes off the bench for me. So if you have him coming off the bench, and then you have you have room for 2 big men in your starting lineup. So you could live with the 2, but you're right. They may need to trade 2 or more than 1. But honestly, if they get a good deal, I feel like they shouldn't be like wary on trading more than 1 if the package is good enough. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
The only thing to be worried about is the injuries. Because
Yes.
Noel has an injury history.
Embiid
Embiid,
has-
very much so.
has no
Wait.
history other than being injured.
Joel
yeah,
Embiid gets
and then
Joel Embiid gets hurt. What?
I
Yeah.
thought he played every game.
Yeah, go figure.
He's an Iron Man. He's really good at running up steps and eating chicken wings or whatever he did.
Love Shirley Temples.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I mean, that's the only concern, and that is why I think that you hold all of them in place
Yeah.
for another year, or at least until Embiid plays,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that.
because then you can see like, oh, they can do this, he can do that, because he hasn't played,
Yeah.
and that's the most concerning part.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
that's like the big thing in your future. Because right now, I feel like Embiid is your best prospect, but you know literally nothing about what he is. I mean, yeah, those pregame workouts, those are so cool and all, like windmill dunks and like a billion 3-pointers, but that doesn't matter until like
Puts on the
it's in an
jersey.
actual
Yeah.
game.
Right.
So you got to hold out hope, and that's the most frustrating thing about this whole Honestly, the whole process is just so frustrating. Like, it just did not go as smooth as everyone thought.
Definitely not.
Between not getting the number 1 overall pick, a big man being the best player available every time, just the whole Joel Embiid situation. Man.
I thought they'd be up to 25 wins this season.
Yeah, I know.
Like, honestly, that was what I thought before the season, and this has been their worst year
Yeah.
yet,
Yep.
which was just shocking to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what happens when you, like...
You try to lose.
Well, yeah, and just don't build a team. Like, I feel like Sam Hinkie is just like, all right, we drafted the guys now. I did my part. You guys can just go out and play.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
I think that's why Colangelo is the real.
Mhm.
He's the guy that's going to actually build the team, and he's
Yeah.
going to be the one who's actually responsible for building a contender in the NBA.
I like Sam Hinkie because he's a savvy move maker, but I think Colangelo, or however you say his name,
Yeah.
is probably going to build this team.
That was probably the best thing that happened to the Sixers, was bringing him in, because who knows what Hinkie is like actually thinking right now.
Yeah.
Who
That
knows
was
if he
Second-round picks.
actually wants, yeah, like if he actually wants to flip the switch this year,
Yeah.
or if he wants to ride it out another year, because clearly it doesn't bother him. It doesn't
Yeah.
bother him.
Well, he collects his
losing.
paycheck.
Yeah,
Well, hey, it seems like the whole process seems like a very big plan, and it may look like he's not doing anything, but this just could all be a part of his plan. And I think this is supposed to be a pretty big free agent class, so if there was a
It
time
is.
to buy in, it would be now.
KD.
And and Brett Brown thinks that this will be the year they finally start to make a move in free agency, so
well,
who knows?
unfortunately, Brett Brown is not. He does not have that decision.
Yeah, he
power,
doesn't have that
so.
decision making. But hey, according to Brett Brown, Dario Saric is coming back. According to Brett Brown, Embiid is looking better. So maybe that means something.
I like Brett Brown. He's an honest guy.
He is. He
he is
deserves
a-
none of the
he's a straight
blame
shooter.
at all.
Oh, yeah. I feel so bad for him. He
I
has
don't
the
know.
worst
Me too.
losing percentage ever.
Yeah,
And he
but-
has been put in this awful situation.
But last night was an example of like what this team does to Brett Brown. Like they had a legitimate chance of winning last night against the Pacers, but it comes down to like the wire. It's a close game.
Yeah.
And Brett Brown's just like, okay, I'm done coaching. We're the Sixers. We don't need to win. It's whatever.
Well, there's a certain point where they've been playing basketball since they were, say, 5. Let's throw that. And when you're 25, you've been playing for 20 years, it doesn't matter if the game is under a minute and you're in high school, college, or the NBA. You should know what to do at that point because you've
Yeah.
watched enough, you've played enough, that it's like, okay, we don't need to call the timeout because we can run the play where we clap our hands together and then there's a double screen on the guard. I dribble to the right. I have an open guy in the corner. Kick it to him. He has an open 3. So I don't understand why they need to coddle the players where it's like, timeout, we need to draw up a play that they've probably seen 17,000 other times in practice. And they just, I don't know. I feel that at a certain point it's on the players as well because the coach can only do so much. He can draw up the play. But when players have been playing for this long, it kind of falls on them. It's like, okay, you should probably be able to know what you're going to do.
That is true. That's a very good point.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I'm just excited to see. Well, here's if they want to bring in a free agent this year. Luckily, the draft is before free agency, so they can actually, if they actually want to make some moves, make it a more attractive market to come for free agents to come, they can do that before free agency starts.
That is true.
Hopefully, they can make some sort of trade. And, beginning of this year, I was thinking Damian Lillard, but I don't think they're going to get rid of him
there's
now
no way.
Yeah,
the
there's not a chance.
Trailblazers would ever
because they're
let go of him.
Their ranking in Sports Illustrated and everyone was saying that the Trailblazers were going to have a huge drop off this year.
No.
Yeah, that just didn't happen at all.
Just
So-
young and awesome.
Really no names come to mind. Come to mind at first.
In terms of like players they should trade for.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Well,
but-
D'Angelo Russell.
yeah,
yeah.
maybe they could throw him in there. in a 3-team trade, but I don't really know if I really want to
Yeah, no.
risk a lot for him.
The one player that I am very big on, that the Sixers seem to be big on too, that as far as like trading for someone, is Dennis Schroeder, the like backup point guard from the Hawks.
Yeah.
That is a dude. He's young, could be a very good player once he gets starting minutes. And he's a free agent next season. The Sixers were trying to make a deal for him at the deadline, but they didn't see the point in like trading for him and then re-upping his contract.
Mid-season, no.
Yeah.
That would have not worked out at all.
What do you mean? The trade or?
If they had made that trade mid-season, do you think his motivation to come back to the Sixers after suffering for half a season?
Well, I mean, if they throw like just crazy
Right,
amounts of money.
yeah.
But
Like that, I just think that's the Sixers' only like recruiting pitch. Like here's
You have
like
lots of
your
money.
Right.
bag with like crazy dollars in it.
Yeah.
Go
But would you
crazy.
throw money at a mediocre player in the hopes that he turns out well,
Well,
paying him before he turns out well?
I feel like it's worked in the past, but I can't think of very many examples.
I can think of when you overpay a good player and he gets bad.
Yeah.
that happens a lot.
The Eagles
Yeah.
do that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's not
That'd
bum
be
ourselves
awesome.
out more. But I don't know. Dennis Schroeder, I feel like he isn't mediocre. I feel like the Hawks are ready to give him the starting job instead of Jeff Teague, who was a all-star point guard last year. I feel like the guy's legit, and I would buy in on the hype.
Jeff Teague. You're saying the Sixers should look into Jeff Teague?
No, I'm
No, he's
saying
still
Al
saying
Horford.
Schroeder.
Oh, okay.
Dennis Schroeder. I'm
Yeah, I
saying
got
not Al Horford. The Hawks are getting ready to give Schroeder the starting job and like move Jeff Teague to the bench.
Right.
I wouldn't have a problem with Teague either, though.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's what I was
going
gonna
to
say.
Ish Smith and Cannon, I really don't. And
Yeah.
they're good as like your backup point guard who's going to come in and play like 15 minutes, just like facilitate some things, and that's fine. But when they're playing combined 50 minutes a game, that's when it becomes a little bit of a problem because Cannon thinks he can shoot and just launches up shots, and Smith, he's not bad. He's
just a backup point guard.
yeah,
Right.
that's
Starting.
what his skill set is. And Teague is a vet.
Mm-hmm.
He can ball. He can do a lot of things. He can be a locker room presence. I think there are a lot of positives if you bring Jeff Teague in.
But I feel like you just know what Jeff Teague is. I don't think there's much he can build on. That one All-Star season, I feel that's his peak. That's as good as you're going to get. And I feel like you'll definitely have to pay Jeff Teague more than you would Dennis Schroeder. It's a very tough situation because I feel like I said, if the Sixers want to recruit someone, they just got to throw crazy money at them. But then it's the debate of, do you want to throw the crazy money at the former All-Star or the promising youngster? So it's tough.
Well, I mean, they got to get someone who's in their prime right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have to flip the switch and do what Boston did. That was, seems like forever ago. When
10 years.
when they brought in, I guess it was, when they brought in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett.
Well, here's an interesting name, Kyrie Irving. You think they could try and make a move for him? I'm
going to venture no.
Nerlens, the Lakers first, and something else, and like a little bit.
If something
else.
catastrophic happens,
well,
where LeBron actually is thinking about leaving Cleveland, then I think they all do.
But what's it? Cleveland is. I think they want to get LeBron one of like Carmelo Anthony or Chris Paul or like Dwayne Wade or one of his best friends, just so he's like happier in Cleveland. And if that happens, I feel like they're going to try and move Kyrie. And I don't know. I feel like it would look pretty good in red, white, and blue.
If they have Carmelo and LeBron, then like the other three guys on the court aren't going to touch the ball at all.
Well,
That's true.
it's just like a wait till it happens thing for trading Kevin Love. I think like that's gonna happen. I feel like he just does not mesh with that team.
No, definitely not.
I wouldn't have a problem with Kyrie Irving. I think the asking price would be high. One thing that concerns me is his injury history. Again, we go back to this.
Yeah.
Because he's been hurt every single season, I believe.
Yeah.
And
He only played like what was it, 9 games?
11,
college,
yeah,
or something like
when
that.
he came out and was like the first overall pick, he played 11 games, which just baffled me. But he's definitely really good. He's the real deal. But you would have to pay a boatload to get him, and I don't think the Sixers have many players that mesh on that team.
Well, I just say I think Nerlens would be very tempting to the Cavs just because they need that like front court big man presence very badly.
We got plenty more to talk about on the other side of this break. Talk about the Phillies and the Flyers. future as well. Seems all we can really talk about in Philly is the future of the teams. But hey, the time is coming.
Hey,
Stay
Flyers
tuned.
Futures now.
Stay tuned to WHIP for the Sunday Sports Show.
There's hundreds of fun and simple things you and your family can do to live a healthier lifestyle. Here's 20 of them. Eat less, eat slower, eat smarter, eat your fruits and veggies. Stop eating before you're full. Up your fiber, lower your calories, get off the bus early, do some gardening, do jumping jacks, take the stairs, take one, not two, take on a new sport, take a long walk home, walk instead of drive, bend, stretch, reach for the stars, climb the monkey bars, skip the fudge bars. Search We Can online to find more ways you and your family can get healthy together. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Go Caleb! Come on, hit a homer, Jesse!
Let's go, guys!
Hey, did you guys know that kids who play sports earn more money when they grow up?
Of course. I knew that.
Hey, did you guys know that kids who read books have a bigger vocabulary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
Wow, Jinx. Did you guys know that friendly children have more friends?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's true. I knew that. Did you guys know that winter babies are better at music?
Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obvious.
Oh, hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Huh. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I knew that.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Can you tell if these vegetables are being contaminated with bacteria that could cause paralysis? Listen. Can't, can you? You can't see it either. Use different cutting boards so that the bacteria in raw meats and seafood and their juices doesn't touch prep surfaces for other foods, like veggies. Raw food may contain bacteria that can make you very sick, or worse. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year, and roughly 3,000 will die. But you can keep your family safer by separating raw meats and seafood from other foods. Learn more about this and other important information. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. That's foodsafety.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Seacrest for RAD. Over 300 people in this country are killed every week by a drunk driver. That's the equivalent of 2 747 plane crashes every single week. And the problem isn't going away unless we all do our part to stop it. So if you see someone who's about to drive after drinking, get the keys. Don't leave it up to anyone else. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Show on WHIP. Today is the first day of Major League Baseball season, and that's always good because that means warm weather is coming, even though today is very windy and not warm and not nice at all. Phillies aren't playing today, they play tomorrow, but tonight the opener is there are 3 games today, and tonight starts with the Mets and the Royals, a rematch of the World Series last year.
I love it. The animosity, the hate. They're so mad at each other.
And I think one team is a little more mad at the other. But, that kind of fascinates me because they make the schedule before the season ends last year.
I know.
What are the odds that they did that? Maybe
interesting.
Conspiracy theory, Illuminati,
yeah, definitely.
Communism, all those.
Yeah,
St. Louis and Pittsburgh also play today, as well as Toronto and Tampa Bay.
But what's it? Getting back to the Mets in Kansas City, apparently, what's the dude's name? Syndergaard is supposed to be he's ready to bean some Royals during the game.
Well, he's not playing. He's not pitching today. Matt Harvey's going to be their starter.
Okay.
So Syndergaard, that'll have to be tomorrow or the next day or whenever they play again.
I think this Mets Royals could be a little bit of a rivalry brewing, and I like it just because I don't know. They just seem kind of nasty with each other. They're just blatantly coming out and saying, "Yeah, no, we're gonna hit them."
They're both old-fashioned teams.
Yeah,
very much
absolutely.
Well, you gotta love. I mean, the Royals, way old-fashioned, small ball.
Oh,
that was a beautiful World Series to watch. And the Mets are just they're relatively older, but like then you throw in Cespedes, who's gonna hit like 450 home runs, 450-foot home runs, not 450 home runs.
It'll be a crazy season. Get ready, buckle up.
3 home runs a game, guys. No, I don't think he's that good, but he's still very good.
He is pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, he kind of brings them to a modern forefront, and then with all the hard throwing pitchers that they've got.
Think Cespedes will be able to carry over his hot like second half of the season?
I don't know, because he's had a lot of hot halves. Then he goes to a new team, and then he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then he's staying on the Mets.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the only situation you could say that is Boston, because I feel like the dude hit for the Tigers, and as soon as the A's traded him away, they lost their offense. Like,
yeah.
That was a big reason they fell out of the playoff race. Well,
yeah.
They didn't fall out of the playoff race. They just did nothing in the playoffs.
They fell apart.
Yeah, they just got dismantled.
Yeah, that was silly.
Which team do you think is more likely to get back to the World Series?
Oh, Royals. Well,
really? I disagree.
I think the Royals.
Yeah, I think the Mets. Because the Royals got really hot at the right time.
Right.
Which is...
It's the same thing that happened the year before, too.
Yeah, which is important, and they can do that. But the Mets, I think, just like their pitching staff, their offense... Yeah, their pitching staff is really what does it
I don't
for
think
me.
they have that much on offense. They got...
Well, the pitching staff, you don't
The
have
pitching
to.
staff
Yeah,
is
their offense
crazy.
too.
That I understand. But, like, they have David Wright. Not the best anymore.
I
And
think they batted worse than the Phillies did last year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if there's one team that you could say got hot at the right time, it was the Mets. They ended up jumping the Nationals to snatch the division.
But the Nationals kind of imploded upon themselves. I mean,
That
you
is
remember
true.
when Papelbon was strangling Bryce Harper?
Oh, dude, that's my banner on Twitter. Yeah, I remember that.
That was the best. Because he was such a goon.
Just everything about
both of them.
God, dude, remember when the Phillies managed to trade Jonathan Papelbon to the Nationals?
For a double-A pitcher.
Yeah, who actually has solid upside. believe
Yeah,
it or
he
not.
throws hard.
Yeah, I know.
Which
It's
is-
like, and Papelbon can choke pretty hard.
The Nationals didn't need that trade. That
They
was
didn't.
because Storin is a good closer and he's not a problem.
Didn't they have Tyler
Papelbon-
Clippard too?
Clippard was. I think he left the team at that
Okay.
point. He was on the Mets or something. But yeah, Storin's a good closer, and it's not like Papelbon's this once in a generation closer that you have to trade for. It's not like Mariano
I think he's a
Rivera
good
or
one,
Trevor
but
Hoffman.
he is
He's top of the line,
Yeah.
but he's a tier below your Trevor Hoffmans, your Mariano Riveras, and I understand that the asking price was low, but your team was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That did not help him.
at least consult with Drew Storin before you do that, and be like, would you be okay if we traded for someone to take your job?
Yeah, no.
And relegated you to the 8th inning.
It was just kind of like, yeah, new guy's here. You're demoted.
Yeah.
Get used to it, kid. But what's it? I got an interesting question. Jonathan Papelbon, best closer in Phillies history?
No. Brad Litch has to be that.
He only had one good season.
Yeah, but it won them the World Series.
That is very true, but that's the thing. Like, statistically, I feel like Papelbon has like every record Phillies closer could get. For
Keep
the
in mind, they also didn't keep track of saves
That is very
until the mid '80s. I'm pretty sure.
That's why they're.
So he might have that record solely based on that. I feel like was that Tim McGraw's dad, Tug McGraw? Yeah, I think he might have that record if they actually
did keep saves for Tug. But the problem with Tug was that he split innings with Ron Reed, and then Tug wasn't here for that long, if I remember correctly, because he was good for he was like Brad Lidge a little bit. They brought him in, and he solidified the team, and they won the World Series with him, and then he was okay.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't say okay. He was a little.
I think Lidge was better than Tug McGraw.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say because there were times when Lidge was just a mess, 5 ERA season.
After Lidge his second season in 2009, he still managed to save 32 games, but he blew 9, lost 8, and had an ERA of 7.32, which was very bad. But he had a knee problem, I believe, that he. From
everyone got beat up from that. I feel.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just unfortunate because he was so dominant, and that's why I think that you can't just look at the numbers because Papelbon has been the best statistically, but he was on a mediocre team, and then the person with the second most saves is Jose Mesa.
Yeah, Joey Table.
Jose Mesa is not good at all, but he has the second most saves.
Yeah.
And Lidge, I mean, I feel like the dominance from that one season, and he's still third or fourth on the team's franchise while having a 7.32 ERA and blowing 10 saves that year and losing 8. So I think there's certainly something to be said for Lidge's dominance and his consistency during that one season, because he went 48 for 48. That is unreal.
Hey, he blew the All-Star game.
Yeah, because
I
they kind of warm up like 12 times. He probably threw more pitches than any starter.
But that just makes me laugh, because I remember watching that game and seeing Brad Lidge give up the run. I was like, oh, God, does this count? This doesn't count. This doesn't count.
Okay, so here it is. All-time save leaders for the Phillies. 1, Jonathan Papelbon, 123. 2 is Jose Mesa at 112. 3rd was Steve Bedrosian.
Oh, Bedrosian,
Yeah.
yeah. He was good. He won the Cy Young Award one year. I think
Really?
87.
Really? As a closer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's happened before. I mean,
I don't doubt it's happened before, but it just does not happen often.
who's the dude for...
no, should it? You pitch one inning.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just have to be crazy dominant, like Wade Davis or
I
whatever
think
his
I
name
think
is
Brad
for the
Lidge got
Royals.
some votes for the Cy Young.
Oh, I
yeah,
think
he
did.
got a couple
that
for
year,
MVP,
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Who was the dude for the A's who had the mustache?
Catfish Hunter.
Yes.
Jim
No.
Catfish. No.
Whoever it was.
I know who you're talking about. He
Yeah.
had the waxed mustache,
Yeah.
curls. Yeah, I think it was Jim.
Raleigh Fingers?
Oh, Raleigh Fingers, that's
Wait,
right, yeah.
That might not be who I'm thinking of.
No, I think...
I'm thinking of the dude who's on TBS, who does, like, the broadcast.
Yeah,
So
I think it's Raleigh Fingers.
No, he has, like a bushy mustache. Regardless, he's the guy. He was a closer for Oakland. He won the Cy Young Award in the early 90s or late 80s or something like
wow.
that. Yeah. So it wasn't too long ago, but, I mean, it's still kind of long ago.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen anytime soon. Unless we see some sort of dude that just totally changes the position, like some Steph Curry type baseball player. Probably not going to happen. 4th was Mitch Williams, and 5th was Brad Lidge. 6th, Tug McGraw. So, I mean, no need to go past that. But Brad Lidge has 100 saves on the dot. So
Yeah.
you think, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying Jonathan Papelbon is the best closer in Phillies history.
I think it just gets down to, like, you're right that he pitched, Brad Lidge pitched for a much better team. And if you think about it, that's, like...
It's all that matters.
Yeah, it's all that matters, because a closer's job is to get you the win. So if a closer isn't really getting... Papelbon got saves, but they were almost meaningless. So, I mean, like, you do have a very good argument. Personally, I'm always a statistics guy, so I'd say Papelbon's the best in Phillies history, but I'll also say that there haven't been that many, like, great ones in Phillies history. So,
5.
Yeah. So, I mean, Lidge is great. He's, like, an awesome pitcher, but it's like 1B to Papelbon's 1A to me.
Papelbon has the lowest ERA out of all of them by far.
Yeah.
2.31, 4.333333. Next one under him was Billy Wagner, who was 10th on the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was wondering where that name would come up.
That's what really separates teams in baseball is a good bullpen. And that's why so many teams in baseball, more than any other sport, can really have a good year and then just drop off the next year. It's because of the bullpens.
Yeah.
The bullpen is the most... trying to think of the way to put this. It's the most... Not flexible, but...
Important, but
It's important, but it's so hard to maintain.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-man in the NBA or something like that. It's like your backup to, like, just take the pressure off your like, big guys.
And it's also why teams like the Giants... it's an even number year, so we need to talk about the Giants. Too. It's also why teams like the Giants can win the World Series one year, stink the next year, win it the next year, not make the playoffs the next year, so on and so forth.
Like, suck, retool.
Yeah.
Suck, retool.
See, I disagree to a certain extent, because I think the only important position in the bullpen is the setup guy and the closer, and then the 6 and 7, and sometimes even the 8th guy, even though that is important, they're replaceable. Because you look at the Giants, they won the World Series with Brian Wilson, and then 2 years later, they were there with Sergio Romo. And then they just go through this cycle of finding new guys. And it's all about the mindset, because any guy can pitch one inning. Kyle Kendrick could probably be an 8th inning guy if he didn't have the mindset that he has. And it's just about getting 3 outs and then giving it off to the closer. And the closer is so important mentally, because you got to get hyped into that. You got to be like, I'm going to go and throw 98 miles an hour, and I'm going to...
I love how closers are always the craziest dudes.
Yeah.
Like, Papelbon straight up choking
Yeah.
Bryce Harper.
Oh,
Brian Wilson was pretty wild, too.
Yeah, he just the beard.
His
and
first
everything.
job ever was cleaning gravestones.
Really?
Yeah. Does that surprise you at all?
I feel like that's fitting.
Yeah.
But
So-
I just feel like bullpens and closers are more replaceable than any other group of positions. Because if you have a really good third baseman, let's say...
The Phillies can contest to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's say Franco, for example, who's an up-and-coming guy, and you just take him out and put Cesar Hernandez in. Cesar Hernandez is going to be a big drop-off.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you have a Jonathan Papelbon, then you go to a Ken Giles, then you go to whoever they're going to use this year, Andrew Bailey.
Nah, that dude's in AAA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, David Hernandez,
bring him up.
whoever they're going to...
I know, but
he's probably going to be brought up eventually, but, I mean,
If he
someone's
can
going to get
show
hurt. So.
Yeah, I mean, whoever they're using. David Hernandez, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Is it David Hernandez?
I think it is.
I have no idea. I was going to ask you guys, who do you think is going to get the closer job?
Yeah, I think because it's not Mojica and it's not Bailey, so then it has to be Hernandez.
Mojica got waived a couple days ago, and Andrew Bailey was the big surprise that he didn't even make the final roster.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I just feel like closing is it's replaceable. If you get a great closer, then you're good to go. But if you have a guy like Papelbon, you can find another guy like Papelbon.
Yeah. There's a reason that Papelbon's $50 million contract was the biggest contract for a closer in MLB history. Just because they're kind of a dime a dozen. You don't need to throw out big money to get them. It's you can find one, and if not, you can kind of make one. Because you can just take a starter and put him in the late inning.
One inning. You pitch one inning and get $15 million.
You're listening to Sunday Sports Show on WHIP. We'll be right back with some more Phillies talk and Flyers talk. Stay tuned.
Hey, this is Wendy Rollins, and you're listening to WHIP.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control over my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money, always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock where you invest to make money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps students like me go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. I could be the first college graduate in my family, the first district attorney from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there will be a second and a third. This can really be the start of something. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Some statistics are surprising, some are unbelievable, and some are simply unacceptable. Right now, nearly 30% of U.S. students aren't finishing high school. nearly 30%. And that's the average. In many places, it's even higher than that. And fixing it is a responsibility that we all share. This is President Obama, and I urge everyone, not just parents, but friends and neighbors and family members, to take responsibility for encouraging the high school students in your communities, to support them, challenge them, push them a little, and do whatever it takes to help them make it through. Because this is one statistic we simply can't afford to ignore.
You can do your part by going to boostup.org and sending an email, a text message, or even a wake-up call to a student at risk of dropping out. Go to boostup.org and provide the boost that's needed to make it to graduation. A message from the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
You are listening to WHIP, the Sunday Sports Show. I'm on with Jimmy Williamson, Jonathan Gilbert. Just finished talking with some Phillies preview for this year.
I got a good question for you guys.
What's up?
Phillies finished with more wins or less? You think Phillies finished with more or less wins than last year?
Definitely more.
More. I can't imagine that they
do worse.
That they backtrack. Yeah. Then again, I thought the same thing about Sixers, and look where.
Yeah,
that is fair enough. My logic is that the pitching staff has gotten a little worse because you take out Hamels, but I think the offense is so much better. And the style that they're going to be playing this year with McCannon, because it seems like everyone has bought in. Like in spring training, they did 5 suicide squeezes, I think, or at least safety squeezes. So they know what kind of team they are. They're a small ball team. They acknowledge that. They understand that. Yeah. And being able to build around Franco and using Howard and Ruff to platoon, Cesar Hernandez, Freddie Galvis, J.P. Crawford's going to come up at some point. The infield is golden. Throwing in Cameron Rupp and Chooch to teach everyone.
Who you got in the outfield, though?
The outfield, that's the question, because Altair getting hurt really put a wrench in everything. But
he's not coming back till June.
Yeah,
he's out 4 to 6 months.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, well, I mean, when it happened, I think it was.
Yeah, it was thought to be minor.
Could be. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
But Herrera, I think that he won't be as good as he was last year.
I don't know. Like 270.
Yeah,
a lot of doubles. I feel. That's his game.
Yeah, that is his game, and I could see him being. I mean, last year was his first year in center field, so he'll be all right.
He was very good defensively last year. I feel like if there's one...
It was scary sommes. Remember the Hamels no-hitter? The warning track, it's like, I have to do a belly flop.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. It's like, did he catch it? Is it over?
But who you got in the last 2 outfield spots?
Last 2 outfield spots. I mean, you have Rupp thrown in there, because...
Really, you feel?
Yeah, I think that they put him in there just to see what he can do. Because he's been playing a little bit of outfield in the past. He's not good at it. Yeah. And then I think, personally, that they'll bring up Nick Williams by about June or July. Because he can hit.
He can.
That kid can rake. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the bigs. But the corner outfield spots are the 2 question marks. Because, like we said, Altair getting hurt, really. He was a starting right fielder. He can hit, he can run, he can catch. He's like a decent 5-tool player. He can do a little bit of everything. But, I mean, Ashley getting hurt, too, because he was going to be in left field.
Yeah, right.
So, at this point,
it's like
I looked at the roster earlier
Godel
today.
and Peter Borges.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Which, I mean, you could be in a lot worse of a situation. Because, I mean, Peter Borges' bat is not what it once was.
No.
But he's still pretty good with the leather. I think he's not that bad. And Tyler Godel, I feel like he's a dude with a lot of upside. He showed something in his last season of, AA ball, I think.
Yeah, Rule 5.
He's got a lot of upside. He's a lanky dude. Another great defender, great with the leather. He has some power potential. So, I mean, as far as people with some upside go, he's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the offense will definitely be okay. Pitching staff with Hellickson, as you mentioned earlier, off the air, that he is ranked 30th in the power rankings for starting or opening day pitchers. And then you got Nola, who's going to be your stopper. You got Eckhoff, who I think is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about Eckhoff. And I'm also excited about Velasquez.
Yeah. I'm excited about him, too. The only other one who no one is excited about is Charlie Morton.
Charlie Morton.
I have a friend who's a Pirates fan. No love for Charlie Morton. He's okay. He's
could be decent if you become the ground ball pitcher he used to be, I think.
Yeah, and if he's like Jamie Moyer, he can hit his spots like no one else. But I don't know if I can see that. But I think, and the bullpen's going to be a lot weaker.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But I don't think that it'll be awful. I think that a good year for these guys would be 80 wins, and I could see it.
Yeah.
I think that's asking a lot.
The over-under is 66. I think that's very low. I think 75-80 is the range that they'll be in, personally.
Yeah, but
I would be more than satisfied with that. I would say that the over-under is probably around like 70.
Yeah.
They're going to be better than last year. Well, what was it? How many wins did they have last year? Like
67 or...
I think they just missed out on... I think it was pretty low. I think they just missed out on 100 losses.
Yeah,
they had
99.
So, yeah, it was 63 and 99. That must have been it. And they just beat out the Reds for worst in the league. So they got the first pick in the draft this year.
Yeah, no. Anybody know what's
Not
going
really.
on with that?
Yeah, I really don't.
The first pick in baseball is so fluky. Like, more so than any other sport.
No.
And it's just like I remember in the 2008 season with their first round pick, they took Anthony Hewitt. And Anthony Hewitt, exactly, your facial expression, he stinks. And he got cut last year. But Dominic Brown was taken in the 20th round. And obviously, no, he's not good, but he was so highly touted.
That 1 month he balled out. I'm not going to
20 home runs.
Yeah.
Should have traded him right then.
Oh, God. I remember that offseason hearing rumors about, like, a potential Dom Brown for Jose Bautista trade and be like, no, I'd take that and wish they did so much.
I wish they sent him away to get Roy Halladay.
Oh, God.
And then keep... I don't know who they would have kept, but none of those players are panned out.
Travis Darnell?
Yeah, I mean, he's a decent starter.
He's a pretty good catcher.
In all of those trades, they trade away these highly touted guys, and none of them panned out. In the Cliff Lee deal, it was like Jason Knapp.
Hey, Carlos Carrasco is pretty good.
Carrasco's an all-right fourth starter, but for Cliff Lee, like you trade a fourth starter for Cliff Lee, yeah, I'd take that. But it's so fluky with the prospect system.
Very much.
Because you're like, oh, this Dominic Brown is the number 1 ranked prospect above Mike Trout. And then what does Dom Brown do?
Right.
He has 1 good season, and then he's like, okay, I forgot that I played baseball. I'm just going to flop around like a fish in right field.
I'd love to see baseball do something that like the NBA or the NFL do where all players from high school have to go to college for at least a year. Let them develop that way. That way, when you get the first pick in the draft and you pick the guy who everyone thinks is going to be really good, and he turns out not to be because no one actually knows.
Yeah.
I mean, the Phillies have Mark Appel right now. They just picked up from Houston. He was the first pick in the draft only, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, 2013.
tells the whole story.
Yeah, that's it. There's so many guys like that.
Yeah, Jesse Biddle. You look at him from Germantown Friends.
Pat Burrell.
Pat Burrell turned out decent.
He turned out decent.
He was a
turned out first pick in the
20
draft.
home runs for 10 or 8 straight years. Like, I don't complain.
Yeah, but I feel like that's
They won a
the
World Series
story
with him.
with like a lot of number 1 overall picks where it's like, yeah, this guy was pretty decent.
But he's
he
not
wasn't
great.
what he was. Like
Yeah.
Delman Young, yeah, he was pretty good.
Oh, I
but,
forgot about him.
Yeah.
Carl Crawford, yeah, pretty good.
Carl
But then-
Crawford was very good
He
for
was
a
good.
stretch.
I mean, Josh Hamilton had his very high ups, but he also had his very low downs.
Yes. Drug usage.
Yeah, look into it. It's very dark past.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen pictures of him recently?
No.
He is looking grisly.
Really?
Yes, I think he's fallen back off the wagon, and he's getting back.
Well,
into
he did
trends or
last
something.
year.
Yeah, and
I thought he came back though. They
he-
traded him back to Texas. Going to LA was just the worst thing, like possibly for him. I mean, you know, I'm not an expert on. I'm not like some sort of psychologist that knows what's best for people who have drug abuse and substance abuse problems. But I can't imagine that going to LA was probably the best thing for him.
Yeah, and LA is a pretty drug-ridden place.
Yeah.
Not to hate on LA.
Not drug-ridden, but just party-ridden.
Yeah, and I don't think somebody recovering, but he does have a family, so yeah. I mean, I don't know. He should have just stayed in Texas.
Probably. Well, I mean, I don't think Texas was ready to throw him the money that like he was looking for.
But he didn't deserve the money that he was looking for.
Yeah.
He had like 3 good seasons, which is when you cash in, like obviously. But they paid Shin-Soo Choo $200 million, and I can promise you that they are kind of on the same level, like different style of players, but Shin-Soo Choo did not deserve that much. Neither did Hamilton. So you split up that contract, then you get both of them.
Yeah, Josh Hamilton is still getting paid like over $100 million from the Angels and like $10 million from the Rangers, and he's like not even starting. I don't think.
That's the beauty of being a big market team like the Angels or the Yankees or the Mets.
Hey, Phillies.
Yeah, Phillies are a big market team now,
Yeah,
too.
I guess, but you really when you're the Angels or the Yankees, or the Dodgers, you really don't have to worry about
the Dodgers especially.
Yeah, you really don't have to worry about how much money you're paying certain players, thinking that you have a budget because you really don't.
I mean, they want to avoid the
of
salary
course.
tax.
Yeah.
That's the big thing with the Yankees.
Yeah.
is They don't want to exceed $200 million because they don't want to get taxed by baseball, or I guess the government would be taxing them. But
But how about the Yankees this offseason? I think they only signed like a handful of free agents, if any. I think that was like a big story.
Well,
the
they did
Yankees-
bring in Chapman,
Yeah.
which solidifies their bullpen, which is what we were just talking about as ever important.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, just very bad circumstances cloud that whole situation. So I'm not getting into that.
Well, he's not. I think he did. I don't think he's. I think he appealed his suspension and won. Right.
I thought it was still pending, but I don't know.
I hope it's
he won.
pending.
I don't think he's-
because I really hope he gets suspended.
Yeah, me
for,
too,
like,
but-
messing with his wife. That,
Yeah, Jose Reyes too.
maybe-
yeah, that one's even worse. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
One of them, I'm pretty sure. It was Chapman got overruled. I'm pretty sure he won that appeal.
No, I
I-
want to say Chapman won, and
I
like,
hate Jose Reyes.
God,
Yeah.
garbage
Remember-
person.
Oh, when he played with the Mets, he was the most frustrating person. I hated those Mets teams. David Wright.
Oh,
I respected him, but I just hated him because he was so good. He was like Chipper Jones.
yeah, everyone wanted David Wright to be a Philly.
Yeah.
Like that was if they can get this dude.
Yeah, and then
But-
he got. I feels bad because then he got plunked by Matt Cain,
Oh,
and his career has just taken a downward spiral since then.
I searched Aroldis Chapman suspension on Google, and the first news article says Aroldis Chapman ready to watch Yankees on TV as his suspension begins. So he didn't win that.
So looks
Good.
like
He will miss 30 games or somewhere around.
Well,
Unfortunately, it's the
not-
first 30. They should make it the last 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Ooh, interesting.
When I'm commissioner, that'll be what's up.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm just glad there's some morality still in professional sports. So
Certainly not in the NFL.
no.
What's morality?
Well, hey, maybe this is all happening. Well, he's getting suspended just because everything that happened in the NFL.
I mean, he had to do it.
He had to do. Oh no, I'm not arguing that. But I
Yeah.
feel like the whole like procedure for like domestic abuse and stuff like that was kind of laid out by the NFL, and just because that was where it all
Screwed up
started.
so bad.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, it's almost 1 o'clock. Thank you for listening to the Sunday Sports Show on WHIP. We'll be back next week with some Masters talk, some playoff hockey talk, some playoff basketball talk.
It's that
The
time of
playoffs
year.
are coming. It's about to be a grand time in the world of sports. And we'll have some Phillies talk. We'll actually
And
see.
Nova.
And Nova.
Oh yeah, maybe they'll be a national champion.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
wait,
Go
when is
Nova.
the game? Is it this
Tomorrow night at
Okay.
9:18 or some
For all
really
we know,
random
Philadelphia could have a new national champion for all.
time. All right. Well, from WHIP, we wish Nova the best of luck. For Jimmy Williamson, John Gilbert, I'm Ryan Snowden. See you next week.